That makes sense. That makes. I never thought about the whole
Oh,
your voice.
chingado.
Aquí estoy.
Aquí estoy. Ya me quiere echar para afuera, chingado. Hombre, bro.
Hey, we can do it like this. You look good. It's up to you.
The
Hey, welcome back to Too Hard, Too Fast, the podcast where we try to broaden perspectives, all while going off the rails. In today's episode, we have Tito Caballero from 104.5 Latino Heat. And I messed that up. Latino Hits.
Some people say hits, some people say hits. It's all good. I got to be honest, bro. Like Too Hard, Too Fast. I'm like, is this like a porn or a podcast?
It can be, man. It can be whatever you want. But
Ala.
and the whole Heats, it's like, that accent came out. It's like Latino Heats. Hey.
No shit. Hey,
that Eddie Guerrero came out.
That happens to me too, bro.
Latino Heat.
Dude, Tito, you're on 104.5 here in San Antonio. Well, we're gonna get into this, but let's get into it. Sit back, buckle up. Let's go too hard, too fast. Boom.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back
to Too Hard,
Too Fast.
Anything that rolls downhill, man.
And the old habits die hard, right?
It's the podcast by the people for the people.
Well, I'm going too hard, too fast.
When we are double fisted on that ass.
Only here, too hard, too fast. Let's do it.
Welcome back to Too Hard, Too Fast, where your host George is sitting down naked from the waist down. So let's go.
And I'm a little cold, everybody. Hey, vamos, too hard, too fast.
So welcome everyone to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast.
That's right. Where we go off the rails and George has to worry about it. So here we go.
For the podcast of the century.
Cheers.
Dude, I'm a little nervous. I'll tell you this. We've already talked for a while. We've been, back and forth on Instagram. We've met each other already. Usually I don't meet the guests till like much later, because usually it's right here. But I met you first, man. Yeah. But I'm nervous a little bit right now because I always wanted to be, not always, but there was a big part of my life where I was like, I think I want to be on the radio. Like I want to try being on the radio. So it's kind of interesting, and it's kind of really like, I guess I'm trying to show off for you is what I'm trying to
say. Dude, well, I'm humbled and thank you for having me on your podcast. But it's easy, bro. Like, don't have to. You already do a great job. Like, I've seen your podcasts; they're always entertaining. They're always fun. They inspire me, dude.
Dang.
And so, dude. So keep up the good work, man.
No, well, I appreciate it. And you know what we're gonna get into today? We're gonna try to not hit you with some too hard, too fast questions, but I'm gonna hit you with some that it might get you in trouble, it might not. It might get us both kicked off the air.
You know what? I am used to getting in trouble, bro. So I'll weasel my way out of it.
There you go. But first, I got to know you a little bit, and you kind of explained your life in a very short, little segment while we were at a party. So I kind of want to. Are you originally from San Antonio?
Born and raised on the south side, right there off of South Cross and 35.
South Cross and 35.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, the real gunslingers. Now,
yeah.
Well, actually, it's different now, maybe from when you grew up, right?
You know what? I hear more gunshots now than I did when I grew up. I think. But yeah, I mean, you hear more gunshots down there than you do in Stone Oak, I would argue. It's not always somebody getting shot. I think 90% of the time it's, somebody trying to show off and shoot into the ground or into the air or whatever, right? Like both stupid ideas, but people do it. So,
I hear them. I'm over here on the west side of town. So you hear some fireworks go off every now and then too.
Probably the same,
Los cuetes. But
right.
Oh shit, I forgot. Are you drinking anything on the podcast?
Well, because I was getting prepared, I am prepared. I haven't opened it yet. So I was waiting for this moment because I'm salivating over here.
I know my mouth is getting dry over here.
But yeah, what is your beverage of choice?
Oh, so I got this. Let me get it actually so you can see it.
I have the tequila. I was gonna do a shot, but I'll wait. I'm actually gonna take.
I guess great minds think alike because I got us some tequila too. It might not be the same one you got.
Nice, dude. Nice. Well, I do have the tequila on my other desk, which maybe we'll go and check it out here in a minute. But I stopped by Twin Liquors here by the store, and I wanted to make a michelada, dude. So picked up some beer, and I'm gonna make a little michelada real quick.
Let's do it. What do you put in your micheladas?
I put Twang's Reserve Michelada cocktail. I don't know if you've ever tried it or not. And then I have the pickle salt that they make. Have you ever tried their pickle salt?
Is that the green bottle?
Yeah, this one right here.
Oh, the famous green bottle. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I've seen that one.
Sometimes I'll do the pickle michelada mix, but I didn't have any because I like it so much. So I'm going into the Reserve Michelada mix, which is like their signature micheladas. Do you like micheladas or not?
I do like micheladas, and everybody thinks I'm like crazy when I say this, but have you ever had an orange juice michelada?
No, that's kind of like a mimosa, but with beer.
Yeah, so I didn't invent it, obviously, but there used to be a restaurant here in San Antonio off of I-10 called Pericos. I think there might be one on 281 and 1604 still.
Yeah.
But they used to make their micheladas with orange juice, and it was everything else, same ingredients that goes in it, but instead of tomato juice, orange juice. And it was really good.
Yeah, I could see that being good actually. I love micheladas, man, and I I make them at home. If I go out to bars, definitely that's like probably what I'm gonna order. But only like for a couple of drinks. Then it's like, yeah, it's like es mucho, right?
Yeah, that tomato juice will give me heartburn.
So yeah, put a little pickle salt on here, and I'm good to go.
Damn!
Ready?
Cheers.
Salud.
Salud.
You.
So what I did, I put that tequila with some Topo Chico and some lemon. And somebody told me that that's the real recipe for a ranch water. I don't know. I've seen them at the store.
Secret. You know the secret recipe. You just let it out of the bag.
I just let it out. Apparently, it's all three ingredients: is tequila, carbonated water, and limon.
Yeah. So this is my lunch right now. Actually, I haven't had lunch yet. So hoy viernes. Oh wait, I don't know if it's going to be on a Friday when this is going to drop, but it is Friday a michelada lunch. It's a michelada lunch today.
It's a michelada lunch. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Have it for lunch.
So good.
So are you guys are allowed to drink before you go on air or
no?
Okay, well then I won't say you're going on there.
So I'm breaking the rules, man. I'm breaking the rules.
Nice.
Well, no, actually, it's a requirement.
Well, that's what I've seen. There's this radio host that he's super famous, and he has a star. Why can't I think of his name? Elvis Duran.
Elvis Duran?
Yeah.
Elvis Duran?
Yeah, Elvis Duran.
Yeah.
So I used to listen to him a lot, and my favorite things he would do is like the little morning happy hour or whatever. They would bring in the Uncle Johnny.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing. That's the first thing that started me thinking like, no, all drunk. That's why I want to be in radio. But no, it just seemed like a party. Like it was like you have all your friends around, and then regardless if you're drinking or not, but it always just seemed like a party, like to have that. But then I started learning that to actually have a morning show and for it to actually last is the hardest thing in the world.
It's hard work for sure. Yeah. But I love that bit too, by the way, from Elvis Duran. That was my favorite bit. And it's funny, that's the one that everybody remembers. everybody remember, like everybody that I talk to, and we talk about morning radio, or everybody says, "Oh yeah, you know, Uncle Johnny." And what was this? What was the saying? I can't remember the saying. I used to say it all the time, and I can't remember what it is now.
What are you, bananas?
There you go. There you go.
I think that's what, I don't know. Maybe that's the one I remembered right now.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Oh,
okay.
hey, lady, I think is what it is.
That's what it is. That's what
hey,
it is.
lady. Hello, lady. Or something like
that's
that.
what. That's what it is. Hello, lady. That's what it is. Where I get the bananas from? I don't know.
I don't know, dude. But I do love Elvis Duran. He's somebody that I've respected and looked up to a lot. He's got a great show.
Yeah, he's, that's like I said, he was one of the first people that I would like try to listen to no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think he was in Austin, like not in Austin, but like he was streamed into Austin. But I never listened to him till like when they announced they weren't going with him anymore, and people were like angry or not, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna listen to see what they were about. Him and Kid Craddock.
Yep, I remember them.
Yeah, and but after sad to say, but after Kid Craddock passed away, I'd stopped listening to the show.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did, but they still carry his name. I think the new show still does really well. JC does a great job, and people love them, dude. People, I mean, listen to them here in San Antonio. Like that's one of our shows on one of my sister stations here, and they do really well, man. People love them.
You guys still have them on? Here in San Antonio.
Yeah, in San Antonio, you can listen to them on Q102.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to bring the party down with that conversation.
Hey, but that's life, bro. I mean, if we were drinking at a bar, like, this is exactly like how we would talk. So I think it's all right.
No, yeah. And so when I was thinking about like how hard the whole morning show thing is, when I got more into like learning about how you get in radio and what you need to be in radio, the most that everybody ever always said was like, hey, you have to be ready for like movement, or it's what's that word, like security isn't there, like it's like you're always.
That's true, bro. Like I could be gone tomorrow. Like every day I wake up and it's like I got a job today. Amen. Because that's just, but that's corporate America, like in general, bro. You know what I mean? Like I think that we live in a day and age where tomorrow's not guaranteed, like in our employment, right? So, but that comes, yes, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, right? But, the downside is it's not very secure, right?
How do you deal with that? Like mentally?
Hard. Like it's hard. Thankfully, I think I don't suck, and that helps a lot. I think I can do a lot of different things, right? Like I can program a radio station. I can talk on the air. I can edit audio. I can produce videos, right? Like I have video editing chops as well, right? I have a sales background, and all of this I think kind of helps to create a more well-rounded employee, right, for a broadcast company. So I think that that's probably why I've been able to stay employed. But I'm also not naive to the fact that sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes budget cuts mean even people who are talented and can't do their job very well and have a great following, like sometimes even those people have to go, right, for whatever initiative like the company has. And we can't be sour about it. It's just the way that the business works. And I have been fired. I have been fired once, I think, twice. Both of those situations, I embraced the change, right? Like it was like, okay, like, yeah, it's time. And, I moved on to, other things that excited me. So I think that everything happens for a reason. And I trust that, there's a purpose, and I go with the energy, and I bring my positive energy. And I think you bring positive energy into any situation, bro, you're gonna make the best of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And So what made you go into radio? Is that what you always wanted to do, or different paths?
Yeah, I was always fascinated at how the audio would come through, right? Like this, the technology behind it always fascinated me. And I'm like, how does that, like, how can he be talking like somewhere else and this is coming out on my speakers, right? And so that was the initial, I think, interest. And then I started to really like observe, you know, what people were saying, what the DJs were saying, the music, like even the branding and the jingles. So when I was a little kid, dude, like, I don't know, 10 years old, like I remember my brother would make fun of me because I would sing the old, I don't know how old you are if you remember KEDA or have ever heard of them, right? But they were like the first bilingual station in the world. Well, Spanish, English in the US, right? And there was nothing like them before. They've been on forever and they're still on the air. But they had this old jingle that would go like Radio Jalapeño, oh, 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 ahora en estéreo. I still remember it, dude. And I was like 10. And I would sing that in the shower. Like other people were like singing like, you know, songs that were on the radio. And I'm singing the fucking radio station jingle, dude, right? Clearly there was something wrong with me way back then, right? But I've always been fascinated at the art of entertainment, communicating, and being passionate about like a sense of community, right? Because I think that, you know, a radio station, a good, healthy, you know, well-run radio station is really, you know, part of the fabric of the communities that they're in, right? And that's always been my, you know, goal with stations that I've managed and run, like Latino Hits here in San Antonio, right? Like it is important for us. We have a sense of responsibility to our community, right? And that's always paramount in the things that we consider and do at the radio station. So, so all of that, you know, all of those things kind of put together, you know, created a situation where I was back to answer your question, because I went down a little rabbit hole, but I started watching radio station bands, dude, in Laredo, and I was fascinated, and I was doing it for free, and eventually I moved to San Antonio. And
how did you get that gig? Like you just went and was like, hey, can I watch your band or what?
No. I grew up around horses and team roping, right? And there was a friend of mine who was on the radio station in Laredo, worked for Guerra Communications. It was Z93, and he had an on-air shift. And he was young. I mean, we were like 17, 18 years old, and he had his on-air shift. I'm like, oh my God, that's so badass. Like, and I became friends with him. He roped with us, right? I became friends with him. And then he's like, dude, just, you know, come by. I'll show you the station or whatever. He's super nice. And so he showed me the station. He would show me like how he did his job, and I would wash. In exchange, I would wash like the vans and help him like with whatever I could, right? And then I moved back to San Antonio right after I graduated high school. And I was only down there for a couple of years. My parents had to go down for business. When I moved back to San Antonio, it was a station called K Rio. And I remember Robin Flores, who I think is still on the air here, hired me. And I remember I would go to the payphone. That's how long ago this was. I'm aging myself. I would go to the payphone that was outside. I think it was called Lincoln Center, this glass building there on Callahan and I-10. And there was a payphone at the Exxon there on the corner, right on the corner from there. And I would call him first on the request line, dude, and try to tell him like, hey man, you know, I'm willing to work. Like I have this experience. Like, and he ignored me, dude. And then finally, like I started to call the receptionist, right? And the receptionist, I'm sure I was a pain in the ass, dude. And the receptionist, later I found out, ended up telling Robin, the program director, like, fucking hire this kid so he'll stop fucking calling me already. Like, please, right? So that's how I got hired. I was just so fucking annoying that they hired me to shut me up, and to get some peace of mind. So that's how I got started. And thankfully, dude, I've been blessed that I've always worked in radio, right? If, you know, there was a period of time where I was consulting and developing technology for radio and TV when I wasn't on the air, but I've always been associated or tied to, my income has always been, you know, radio or writing. either scripts or music, music coverage, music reviews, stuff like that.
Well, when you were talking about, you were listening to the radio station and you can remember the jingles. I tried to relate to that knowing that I wanted to be in radio, but I didn't. I was like, when did I want to start being in radio? And I think it was in college. Oh, shit.
Hold on. I got to stand up, bro, because this thing. Hold on. It's like you're not moving, so we're going to turn the lights off.
I was like, oh, we're getting into the mood. I guess it is going to be a porno.
Right. I know, right? No, it's motion sensor. So if I don't move, they turn off after a while.
Okay. Oh, and you guys, the radio stations have that dead air thing too, right? Like you guys have to keep talking, or else everything shuts off, or what?
Or we get fired.
Or you get fired.
We get fired.
That's the real dead air.
Yeah, for sure.
No, so like in college, it wasn't until college where I moved into San Antonio where I actually got to hear more radios, because where I grew up was Eagle Pass, and there wasn't really much of anything there. Yeah. But what we did have is La Rancherita del Aire, and that I can remember. La Rancherita del Aire.
That's so funny, dude. See, you were built for radio, man. We got to get you in front of a radio mic.
Yeah, and I used to bank on the fact that I have the face for radio, but nowadays you guys have to be pretty too, because you guys are all over.
Because we have to do video. Yeah, dude. So
now I'm out of luck.
Yeah, that's my boss sent me a memo when I was weighing 270, and he's like, "Hey, bro, you got to lose 50 pounds." I'm kidding, by the way. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I guess I'm out of luck. Gacho,
vato, gacho. No, dude. But I would see myself on video, right? And I'm like, fuck, like, no. Like, I've got to, like, no se puede. Like, I got to change something.
No, I know what you mean, man. I've gone back to edit some old stuff on this podcast alone, which has only been off and on for about 2020. That's when we came back. Like we started 2017 and we came back. And I say we because I had a partner, a co-host, and I was editing some old stuff, and my weight has been fluctuating very badly. Where it's like you can see some like barbacoa, and then it thins out and it goes back. So I was like, man, I gotta stay like at a good.
Hey, I have had so many people hit me up because I've lost this weight, right? And I've always been pretty fit my whole life. It was the last 3 or 4 years that I let myself go. And so many people are hitting me up. I thought to myself, man, I should open a gym or something, because all these people are like hitting me up like, hey, what did you do? How'd you do it? Like, what's your secret? Like, and there's no secret, bro. It's just like cutting back on the tortillas and the sodas and the, fatty shit, and exercising every day, bro. Like, and even 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm going hard at the gym for like 3 hours. Like, you don't need that, bro. Like, you don't have to kill yourself on the Stairmaster or the treadmill. Just walk for 30 minutes every day, bro. It's amazing. Like 6 months, you'll drop 50 pounds if you do that, bro. But you got to stay disciplined. Like, you really got to stay disciplined. You got to, it's hard, bro. Like, mom cooks like, the fideo and the carne guisada and the homemade tortillas, dude. And you're like, oh my God. And you don't want to say no, because then, you offend her and she's like, chinga, mijo, like I made you this food. And you're like, they give you the guilt trip, bro. So then it's like, fuck, well, I gotta eat these tortillas, right? And so, I had to have a heart to heart. I had to have a heart to heart and be like, look, don't get offended. I'm really trying to do this for my health. Like, I really got to do this. And so anyway.
Now I get every time I go back and visit my mom, she's like, ay, mijo, mira, una dieta, no? Like exercise, like, Mom, I'm trying. I'm doing, but then right there, she's
I know, right?
That up, and I'm like, well, Mom, you're not helping either. It's like, hey, you don't visit very often. Let me feed you.
I know, right?
When you started to learn radio, that you have to go like to courses, or was all hands-on? Nowadays, people have to.
Like, I mean, in college, like I took theater. I always excelled in writing, in creative writing and literature. Like that was my lane, right? English lit. And so, my training wasn't like radio or TV, right? But I think that theater and creative writing were a big part of like a big, like contributing factor to me being able to create compelling brands, right? And have successful, I did morning radio, as for a long time, and to be able to do, morning radio with a cast of people, create a show every day. Like, I think that school background probably helped me more than if I would have gone to like radio and TV, like production school, right? Because, I think that they'll teach you how to push the buttons, right? And they'll teach you, like how it works, but I don't think always focus on developing the storytelling skills, right? And the content creation skills. Maybe now more, but yeah. So,
I mean, a lot of it too, at least from my end, because when in college, I didn't go for anything like this. I did education, and then I did business. So, and then now I'm doing this. Well, obviously, it's not as like a paid gig, I can quit everything tomorrow
not yet.
or yesterday.
Yeah.
Not yet. That's a good,
But
exactly.
Look out, Joe Rogan.
There, got that Joe Rogan status.
Because Too Hard, Too Fast is coming for you, Vato.
Yeah, we'll go too hard, too fast, and then we got it. We're coming. We're doing that. That silent thing that us Hispanics do. Like we sneak up on you, man. You never know which way we're coming from.
Yep.
No, that's funny, but dude, and honestly, just having the little attention that I have and that growing, it's already put me in touch with a lot of great people. Like just you on your own, man. If I've never would have started this, we would have never met.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but it would have been when I was trying to hassle you for some tickets or something.
For Bad
Bunny. Yeah.
Everybody hitting me up. That's so funny. Bad Bunny would be in here too, but he's driving the van out in San Antonio right now. We got Maluma hanging out back there though.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's out there getting kisses from everybody. I see the Instagram.
I have to wipe him down every night, dude.
Oh man, espero that saliva, cochino. No, man. So, I think a lot of the stuff is hands-on too, like just learning from other people, the people before you.
Sure.
But you guys, I bet there's a bunch of old. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and my perspective, but just listening to like the old people that are still on, like they're maybe I don't know how old, but they're old. They've been around.
Yeah.
Do they must be putting up a fuss on? Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do social media. What the fuck is social media?
That's so funny, dude. That is so funny. I have. I'll be very honest here. We do have some of those people in our building, right? And it's so funny. And I love him to death, dude. Like Charlie Parker, right? He does the morning show on WOAI, the news station, right? He's an older guy, been around forever. I hear that we don't see it, like we all hear it because he's at his desk. He's like, "What the fuck is it?" And it's so funny because I feel like that is he's earned the right. He's done. He's in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Like his career is one that we could all only dream of, right? And he's still on the air, and he's extremely talented, right? But we're all headed there, right? Like, and I it's so funny. Like I kind of appreciate like that honesty, right? And that like kind of fuck it attitude. Is it shit? But we're all headed there. I mean, there are things that I'm still trying to wrap my head around TikTok, right? Like, and there are other people who just are able to run with it, and it's not like a big deal, right? So I'm kind of like in between, right? I'm in between like the young people and like the older people who are really
I think
frustrated.
I'm right there with you, man. When this whole thing, when I started the podcast again, 2020, we started it because of COVID. My friend and I were like, dude, we need somebody to talk to other than ourselves, and we're just bumming around the house. So we started like, dude, we have Zoom, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, as soon as I showed it, everybody's like, you need to get yourself on TikTok. Get yourself on TikTok. And I was like, dude, I don't want that. I don't like downloading apps on my phone, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want that mess.
Yeah.
And well, here I am. I have a TikTok. I'm trying to get people to follow me on there.
But does anybody help you with? Do your kids help you with it? How old are your kids? Like,
My kid's he's
too
gonna
young?
be, yeah, he's 4. So
Yeah.
definitely not on TikTok.
Yeah.
And no,
When he's 7, he can start running your TikTok account.
yeah, he'll probably have more followers.
Yeah.
But
That's his chore. Instead of like making him like cut the grass or take out the trash, like say, all right, you got to give me 100 followers this week. Go.
yeah, right.
Tell me some ideas.
Yeah, figure out the SEO on that.
Yeah.
On the next post. But no, I mean, I get it, but I think radio is such a, I mean, it's the platform has been around for ages. Like it's the first form of media, right? And besides writing stuff on paper and books, like the whole thing. So it's been around forever, especially if you're our age, it just feels like forever. So now that it's like, okay, you're talking to a mic, it's going to go out to people that don't even know what you look like. Because I remember at the moment before social media, meeting my favorite radio host, Kid Craddock, that we talked about earlier. Just meeting him, I was like, oh, they're not what he sounds like.
Yeah. People tell me that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to talk to this guy on the radio, put it on 104.5 so you can hear him. And so she's here, and I was like, that's him. And she had seen in pictures, like, definitely does not sound what he looks like. But it's good. It's not always like, it's not like a bad thing. And hopefully it's a compliment. But it's definitely, it could be a both way kind of thing.
Sure.
Sometimes some guys sound like really tough and buff, and then they're like this really skinny.
Yeah.
You know,
for me, I think people have told me that they expected me to be a lot taller, right? And they see me in person, like, oh my God, you're chaparro, right? Like I thought you were gonna be like real tall.
Yeah, that's so weird. Why would like? How can you tell someone's height from their voice?
I know, right? Like, I don't know.
That was the thing, like, you know, people that just seeing your radio host or seeing them out somewhere, and it's like that's a different person completely. So all you had was their voice, and you guys change your voice. I don't know if, I mean, obviously, I think you do change your voice a little bit, but
well, there's processing too. Like our voice goes through like a processor before it goes out on the air. Our signal is also like enhanced, right, to make it sound better, right? Just like you know, if you're going to release a record, right, like you have to mix the record, right, and get the levels just right so that it sounds crisp, clear, or however you want it to sound, right? Maybe you want it to sound muddy and dirty and muffled a little bit, right? So, you know, we have engineers that, you know, work with us, like the program directors, to get the sound of the radio station just right, so that it sounds good, right? And I don't know. A lot of people don't even notice this stuff, right? But if you go around and listen to like different radio stations in your car on your FM radio, you can notice like, okay, the processing on that station sounds good. Like it's full, it's got bass, it's not too bassy, right? And or whatever, right? Whatever it is. And some sound crisp, right? Like depending also, I think, on the music type that you play, you know, that would affect like where you set your levels at. So, you know, that being said, it sounds a little different, right? If I'm in person, I'm not always walking around like with a built-in like processor on my throat, right? Like, hey, how's it going?
That makes sense. I never thought about, you know, the whole.
Oh, chingado.
Aquí estoy.
Aquí estoy. Ya me quiere echar para afuera, chingado. Oh, hombre, bro.
Hey, we can do it like this. You look good. It's up to you.
You know what's so funny is that I'm sure people like walk by the doors on the other side. It's got a little window on it. They see me doing this, and they're like, "Oh my God, is he okay?"
Do the lights go off whenever you're on air too?
Sometimes they do. Yeah.
Dang,
Sometimes they do. But I'm typically like, I'll show you in a minute because I got to go on the air here in a minute. But typically, like, I'm moving back and forth. One computer to the other computer, getting the song ready, blah blah blah, getting my scripts out, so on and so forth. But I'm over here, kind of on the far end of the broadcast table, kind of behind like some mic arms, and so I'll show you
Oh,
here.
I see.
So
I've always loved those arms, by the way, like how smooth they move around.
and the light sensor is over there by the light switch. So I'm kind of hiding behind the arms, and it doesn't.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. Hold on. There we are.
So, like I was saying, I never thought about the whole voice thing and the processing, but I've always took it just like how probably every person listening to you guys takes it as like, oh, they changed their voice, or maybe not that they changed their voice, but it's just that's
some
the
more
way
animated. Definitely more animated. Fun. I mean, you guys don't want to hear me like come on the air and be like, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" Right? Like, you want me to, you want. I would assume, right? Like, especially with our music, right? You want somebody who's gonna, be upbeat and fresh and yeah.
Unless you're on NPR, and then you can be like, "Hey guys, well, welcome back to."
But their content is so great that they don't have to do any of that. They're like so great and so important.
Yeah. Do you have to say that, or you're saying that because you have to say it?
No, dude, I love NPR. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like, I'm kind of a geek about storytelling, and like, I mean, I listen to some of the podcasts that I listen to. One of them is Chicano Squad, and the art of storytelling with that with the host, right? She's really good at it. I wish that for my podcast, I had the time to write a script and produce it as it should be produced, right? Because those podcasts, like on NPR, like they have a team putting those podcasts together, right? They have like 2 writers, like 2 producers, like,
Editors,
it's a team of like 6 people, right? And so they sound amazing. Like they have the effects, the background, music, the storytelling, the script writing. They can, narrate it, bring a guest in after the narration, go back to narration, have 2 or 3 guests, right? And music. And that takes a lot of time. That's like, but you go and you think about, in its simplest form, what is it? It is entertainment for your ears, right? Like, so, I feel like, in my case, I have to figure out a way to give that product the attention it deserves, right? And it's like music, right? Like if an artist was going to release an album, the Grammy nominated albums have teams of people, painstakingly going over every nanosecond of audio on that album to make sure it sounds perfect, right? And podcast is the same thing. It's not music, but the attention that we put into the production, I think, is gonna, help make that more successful, right? And I just
let me ask you before we go further on that, because I think it's gonna lead us to like that question I wanted to ask you, and I told you about off air or before we started recording. The reason I started loving podcasts was because it didn't have all the, whistles and bells and whistles, as they say, like all the production. Like it was like you said it, like raw conversations. Like we're just having a conversation, like if we were at a bar. So that's what I really liked about the podcast, because you really got to know the person behind the mic versus just hey, welcome back to all this like fake stuff that people have to do. And I do see a lot more production and podcasts now. Like I listen to some really big ones that have like a whole team, like it's like they're on a movie set kind of thing. And I like them because they're funny, but I still go back to let's go back even to Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast on earth. It's just him and his editor and his security team, I guess. Like it's not a whole production, and I really like that. Like you really get to know the people and his guests.
Yeah. And I think, and that's probably the beautiful thing about the podcast space, is that there's something for everyone, right? Like, and I can appreciate that too, right? And that's how I do my podcast. But I do also appreciate how compelling some of these podcasts like Chicano Squad are, with their storytelling, right? Like the last one, one of the ones I was listening to the other day was about this guy in Houston. Last name was Torres. I can't remember his first name, who was killed while in custody, right? Of Houston PD, right? And he was basically beaten to death because he was Mexican, right? It was this whole thing. And I haven't finished the podcast series, but that was basically what it was about, right? And the way she set the story up, the way she teased it, the way she, brought things that were tied to my culture into it, things that I was passionate about. Like, I think there's a lot to be said, for script writing, right? To be able to get the message just right. And it's just something that I personally appreciate. And it's something that I feel can move the needle, right? In terms of like downloads and audience. I think, especially in the beginning, right? Because if you're a podcaster and nobody knows who you are, then it's more challenging to be real, right? Because there's not a connection yet, right? So I think, it should be a little more structured in the beginning so that you're not kind of overstepping, or so you kind of earn that kind of, okay, now once they know who you are a little bit and there's a little bit of a relationship there, I guess. And then maybe like, this is just like my personal opinion. This is not like a podcast book or anything, bro. Like, it's just how I feel.
It's okay, because there's been no structure on this podcast ever.
And that's all good, bro. And that's all good. And look, you know what? Some of the best advice I got was from somebody who was helping us with our podcast. And I wanted to start this American Vita podcast, and I had the idea, had the concept, and I was trying to get the logo right. And I wanted to do this and that, and he was like, "Just fucking start it already. Otherwise, 2 years are going to go by, and you're still not going to have the perfect logo and the perfect whatever." And he's like, "The first ones might suck. The second one's going to be a little bit better. The third one's going to be better than that. When you're like 400 episodes in, you're going to have a fucking amazing podcast, right? Like, you just have to start and improve, with every podcast that you do. And you do, right? Like, I'm sure if you go back to your first podcast and then to your last, recent podcast, like, you've probably seen an improvement in the content, I would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah. So, like I said, I used to have a co-host, and he would always say, you have too many rules. You're too like. So I was kidding around. Like, I was very structured on the fact, like, it almost made everybody, and I shouldn't say almost. It did. It made the guests love my co-host, because my co-host came in and just be like, "Fuck it, let's see how I can make this go off the rails."
And there's something good about that too, dude. Like, that's I think it's powerful as well.
Yeah, and I noticed that they really made a connection with him, but I was failing in making a connection with the guest, because I was like, "Oh, we need to be here by this point, and we need to be here by this point." And then in my head, I was already editing, so I was not really listening to what the people were saying. Yeah. So I get it. And then it wasn't until after he left that I realized, like, I need to just have a conversation, and then my editor will take care of it later. And my editor is Sober George. Yeah. So I always say here is like, "Hey, Sober George, cut that out." So that's where it leads. But no, and you really hit a good point that having a good story and storytelling, it goes a long way. Like regardless of production or what you do to in post, having that story really helps, and having that connection, like you said, like you were saying, it hit you because of the connection to your culture and your background.
Right. Yeah.
So I get that, but Sober George, cut out the name of the podcast. We don't put names of our competitors on here. No, I'm kidding. It's on there. I'm kidding. So I know you're gonna go on there in a little bit, not too long.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep you much.
Oh, good. I can take you with me if you want.
Perfect. We'll do that. We'll see.
Sure.
We'll see how it goes.
Sure. I'll give you hold on if you want. I'll give you a little quick before we go on the air. So I'll give you a little tour.
For people that are just on audio, you're missing out a full tour of the radio station.
So this is that's my mic right there. My board. This is a studio. I'll give you a couple of.
You're by yourself?
Well, really, it's just on air people. The salespeople aren't here anymore. This is the sports station. You see the sports guys in there doing their show.
They just looked at you like, what is he doing?
What is he doing? This is the news station. You got like news booths over here.
And do all of you get along, or is it like
We
competition?
fucking can't stand each other, bro.
For real?
No, I'm kidding. we all get along. This is one of my workstations where I produce audio.
Nice.
You see the bottle of tequila right there.
Yeah, ring the bell.
And and then I have another desk over here that I'm really never at. Some awards that have fallen. You'll see another bottle there.
So it is a requirement.
You'll see another bottle over here, dude. This is Russell Rush's desk over here.
Whoa, that's a famous name right there for sure.
He always has tequila here too. He must have taken it to his house. This is Alec Alverson from KJ. He's the program director at KJ. And that's like our sales team, but they're all work from home now. So there's only a few of us here at the radio station. This is the KJ 97 studio. Randy Carroll is usually there.
That's another famous name, Randy Carroll. He's in the Hall of Fame too?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Okay. So he is the one. Randy Carroll is the first guy that I used to listen to as well when I moved to San Antonio.
Yeah,
because I grew up listening to country music, and so obviously there was no country music stations in Eagle Pass. There was no George Strait from La Rancherita del Aire. So when I moved to San Antonio, KJ 97 was my go-to.
Yeah,
but so yeah, I've been Randy Carroll is a name that I grew up. Maybe not a lot of people know him, but I do. So that's why it was a name that I connected with in that
one. So I got to give our.
But it's all about 104.5 right now. Latino Hits.
Tune in right now. You could win $1,000 with cash para el gas. Hold on. Where's my winner bet? Keyword is pay. Today's Friday. Party mix coming up at 5. Here we go. 104.5 Latino Hits, your número uno para hits. Tito on your radio. Feliz Viernes. It's a Friday, y'all. Can you believe it? It is Friday. Party tonight at Doc Brown's with Bad Bunny Friday nights. All right, here's your chance to win $1,000 with cash para el gas. You got to enter this nationwide keyword on our website right now. It's pay. Enter pay right now at 104.5latinohits.com. Y tú puedes ganar $1,000 with cash para el gas on 104.5 Latino Hits.
Yo, Satch, there's so many beautiful ladies out here.
Okay.
And
That was badass.
That's
Do
funny,
you
dude.
have to listen to the music while you're on there?
You don't have to. I mean, I do because I love it.
Yeah.
But no, you don't have to. I got to do a real quick endorsement. Amigos, hey, Tito, and hey, something fun to do this weekend. I don't know if you have any plans for Saturday, but our San Antonio Gunslingers are riding a 2-game win streak into the Freeman Coliseum este sábado a las 7 de la noche. So if you want something to do with the family, it is Bring the Noise night at the Freeman Coliseum this Saturday night for the San Antonio Gunslingers. What does that mean? Well, that means you better bring the noise, but they're going to help you bring the noise. Te van a regalar for the first 500 people noisemakers. So the little cowbells that you make a lot of noise with, that's what they're going to give the first 500 people through the doors. And they have the 6-pack special to the San Antonio Gunslingers for this Saturday. That means you're going to buy 3 tickets and you get 3 absolutely free. 6 tickets for only $60. Experience all the San Antonio Gunslingers high-flying action, plus enjoy Bring the Noise night este sábado 25 de junio at 7 p.m. at the Freeman Coliseum. Let's pack the house, get noisy, and show why we deserve a professional football team right here in San Antonio.
Here's another meat and potatoes question. So I find all this interesting, obviously, because like I've been saying, I've always wanted to be part of it. How do you guys? I've always found it so fascinating when the song is about to start, so that the start of the song is going, and right before the singer sings or says his first lyrics, you guys are talking, blah blah blah, whatever you want to say. Hey, 104.5 Latino Hits coming at you with Bad Bunny, and then as soon as you finish that, boom, Bad Bunny sings. How do you guys know how much time you have before
we fuck that up too sometimes. Not often though. Not often. It's because we have like the intro like timers, right? Like, so my songs, like for example, Borracho, Sech and DJ Khaled, I know I have a 3-second intro there, right? So I'm talking and I'm watching my clock, right? So I know that I have maybe 4 seconds of the tail of the previous song, right? And I have 3 seconds of Borracho, right? And maybe I'll use up 2 seconds in between if I feel I need a couple more seconds to finish what I'm saying, right? So I'll start talking down those 4 seconds and be like, hey, 104.5 Latino Hits, we got, your chance to win $1,000 coming up. Boom, hit the song right here on 104.5 Latino Hits. And then I know that I kind of know, the clock, timing, and how many seconds you have going in. Plus, we talk up these songs a lot, right? So we know the songs already, right? We listen to them a lot, right? So I know when he's going to start singing, and I can in my head start wrapping it up when I know, like, okay, he's about to start singing, right?
Okay, interesting. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever heard a mess up, because that's why I always thought it was the coolest things. Like,
listen to my show, bro.
Well, this is me in college trying to be one of y'all. Like, right? Like I'll play the song and I'll be talking. Hey guys, next part we got is George Strait coming up with Amarillo by Morning, and then the singer's going, fuck, I fucked up.
We do
I
that
would
too.
always mess it up. But that was my thing that I would do in college all the time. I would pretend to be a radio host and in front of my friends while we're having parties or whatever. Stupid things.
As a kid, I used to plug. My brother had a boombox, and I would plug the microphones into the mic input. I mean, the headphones into the mic input, and I'd record. I'd put a cassette in, and I'd hit record, and I'd record myself. I'd talking into the headphones, trying to talk up a song on a radio station, right? And then so I'd hit record, and okay, the song's gonna end. I hit record, and I'm ready, and then the fucking DJ would start talking. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
So then I'd have to start all over and pray that the DJ wouldn't talk up the next one, dude. So I could do it.
Yeah, that's funny. And that's the old times when you had the cassettes or what?
Yeah, dude.
All right, let me ask you this question, and it goes along with the podcast conversation. and I feel for me, at least, doing the podcast in part is because obviously I never went into the path of radio. And so sometimes there's like a guilty feeling. It's not like I'm Joe Rogan. I have like millions of followers or downloads, but sometimes there's a guilty feeling of feeling like I'm taken away from radio in a sense, because now now everything's shifting towards podcast. And I'll tell you,
what are you saying? That you're taking my audience from me, or
I'm
what,
taking
bro?
your audience, but that's why we're on here. Hey, Latino Hits, hit up Too Hard Too Fast. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
No, not like that. Like, it's just a weird thought, thoughts that go through my head.
I feel like the more there are, the more it's a business, right? Like the more we can go out and monetize what we're doing, right? Like, because it's a business now. It's like it's a commerce like platform, right? Like podcasting. So and look, I always, I also feel that, everybody is unique and has their own their own uniqueness that other people would just find interesting, right? Like, people will listen to you for one reason and may listen to me for something else, right? Like, and I think that that's okay. And the audience will be there for you, right? And we'll grow.
Yeah.
I don't see it as really like, competition. I just see, I see it as opportunity for everyone.
Maybe because I've just heard from, or read different stuff where, radio hosts are saying, oh, we hate this whole podcast thing because now we're losing listeners. Because and I'll say this, like, and with a really like, oh, sorry, I have to say this, but it's been a while since I truly listened to radio.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm not blind to that challenge, right? I'm fully aware of the challenge that we have as an industry, right? But, it's unfortunate that some of the stuff that you're reading or some of the other, radio people who you might have heard say that they don't like podcasting because they feel it's taken away from radio. Like, I feel it complements radio. Like, I feel, we have been, especially those that have been doing it for a minute, right? Like, we have been I've been storytelling, dude, since I started radio, in my teens, right? Like, and what makes a great podcaster, a great storyteller, right? And it's a different medium, and you tell the story a little bit different, right? Like, I wouldn't speak on my podcast like you heard me speaking over the intro to like a song, right? Because the song, I'm feeding off the energy and the vibe of the song, right? With podcasting, it's more of a intimate conversation with somebody who's listening probably on their earbuds, right? And you don't want to be like yelling into their ear or be like, oh, I'm trying to hype up, right? When they're, when it should really just be a conversation. And so I think it complements radio, right? Like, I think that, and the hosts who see that, I think, are the ones that, are A, employed, and B, creating content on a regular basis, right? Like, if I did not have my podcast, I would not have had several conversations with Chris Bettis, right? Like, because, radio, like, my listeners come to my radio station because they want to hear music, right? They don't want to hear a 30-minute conversation with Chris Bettis, right? But I have a podcast to be able to do that, right? So whether it's Chris Bettis or a 10-minute conversation with J-Lo or, John Leguizamo or George Lopez, like, these are all people that I've had the opportunity to have on my podcast. And I would not, I think, have had that opportunity to have a real conversation with them, right? Where I don't feel rushed. I don't feel, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, we got to get to commercials. Oh my God, I got to play the song. Oh my God, we've been talking for 5 minutes already. We got to stop. We're losing listeners, right? Like, it's just, hey, let's talk. And so I think it complements us, in my opinion.
Do you promote 104.5 on your podcast, or you just make it completely on your own thing?
I think people know that I'm on the radio station. Like, I don't hide it. I don't also I don't be like, I'm not like, hey, 104.5. Like, I mean, the podcast is the podcast. It's American Vida, right? Like, I will sometimes, publish interviews. Like if my interview was on the radio station, right, and even if it was a short one, but if it was with somebody that that I feel my American Vida audience would want to hear from, I'll take that and then I'll repurpose it on my American Vida podcast as well, right? Which I've done a couple of times only. But
I think the fact that some people hate it is one of those things that, like we were talking earlier, times are changing, and it's figuring out how to change with them to figure out what's best for, like you said, for your radio industry and for yourself as a podcaster and your own personal goals. So it makes sense. I think it's the change that's scaring people in most cases.
Yeah. I love that I have a podcast, dude. I love that. And I want to do so many other things with it, right? Like I wish that was all I had to focus on, right? Because I love it so much, right? But I have to run a radio station.
Hey man, you're living that life. I think it's cool. So like I said, I'm gonna stop being such a fanboy of it, but I think it's cool, like that you have the radio station and that you have a podcast. But it's interesting they're saying that you would rather, no, maybe not, I wouldn't say rather, but that you would want more time to spend on that, because dude, it takes a while, and it takes, like you said, like to even put any kind of like post stuff, like production to it. It takes, I think, longer than the coming up with the questions and the conversation to have with the guests.
Sure. But, I would every hour when I did my morning show, like every hour of airtime would take like 2 hours of prep. So every hour I had on the air would take a couple or more of hours of research, calling interviews, writing scripts, coming up with the ideas. What are we going to do here? So, a 4-hour show would take, 8 hours to probably write and produce.
And then just to think that most of the time, like, what if you're running too slow or fast on it? Like if you like something that should have taken 15 minutes took 10 minutes, and now we need to figure out how to fill out the next part. At least, what's that?
Throw a song in there.
Well, I've always I felt like on this podcast where I come up with when I used to have like a full script and where I want it to be, and then I would finish and I was like, dang, that was like 15 minutes into the podcast. Like now I have nothing. So that's where I was like, that's where I learned to hey, let's just let it flow. Whatever goes on, like it's the conversation that matters for the most part. Like for on here, we've had some, like you said, dead air. It's all get fixed in editing. All right, so crap, I lost it. Anyway, sorry, I'll skip through that.
Don't be afraid to offend me, man. Come with it. Come with the
No,
heat.
I already forgot. I already forgot. I was thinking about the question as I was asking another question. I was like, "Fuck, I forgot now."
It's the tequila, bro.
It is, dude. That I never had this éxito. One. I grabbed it just because I was like, "Well, it's Latino Hits," so I'm gonna grab it because it's like it gives me like that Mexican vibe. So I'm gonna go get it because I try to pair it like it's like a palette thing.
Yeah,
like I try to pair what I'm gonna be talking about or with who and what, so like, something fun, very gimmicky. Anyway, so
Maluma ain't mad about it.
What's that?
I said Maluma ain't mad about it. Check him out. He's got a smirk on his face. He approves.
But so looking through your stuff, like you met the mayor a couple of times. Obviously famous people. So I'm sure like the question like people always probably ask you or they want to know is like, is it cool? How cool is it to meet all these famous people Is it really what it's all cracked up to be? And I'm not asking to dog on the artist or anything like that, but
Yeah.
just
No.
kind of like,
Look.
does it
I
ever
love
get boring meeting people?
I love meeting them because they always pick up the tab, bro. So like, no, seriously, of course.
Well, I mean, that's
you
a cool thing, man.
It's a privilege that I do not take advantage or that I appreciate, right? Like I and I respect, right? Like I try not to ever cross the line, right? Like I don't always take selfies. Like there's so many people that I've met that I don't have pictures with, right? That it was more important for me to just be a regular person with them, right? And not I want to connect with them, right? And I feel that, you know, if you, in a lot of cases, if you bust out the camera to take a photo, it's like, I've kind of, you know, fucked up the potential opportunity to connect with them, right? And so, you know, I love that part of the job, and especially when it's people that I respect and look up to, right? I think that always makes it a little easier. But yeah, dude, I mean, I love that, and yeah, I get nervous, I get butterflies, right, with a lot of these people, especially if it's somebody that I really respect and look up to. You know, George Lopez, like that's one of them, right? I just I'm a big fan, right? Bad Bunny was another one, right? Like I'm a big fan. J-Lo igual, dude. Like you get nervous with these big names. But you know, you try your best to keep it professional and do your job, right? As an interviewer.
Dang, I bet that like, it has to like not suck in a way, but suck in the fact where like let's say George Lopez.
George Lopez, what?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to like. I'll let you do it.
104.5 Latino Hits. Look for the Too Hard, Too Fast podcast I'm doing with the homie George, by the way. It's going to be dropping in a couple of weeks. I brought him with a behind the scenes look at the radio station. You're not going to want to miss it. We drink y todo el pedo. Here's Los G's, Becky G and Carol G with Mommy. Vámonos.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh man. I was saying that, you know, with George Lopez, like somebody like you really admire.
Yeah.
To try to keep it professional and not bust out that camera, like that probably has to hurt the most, no? Like, or not hurt, but like suck.
No, it doesn't. And you know why, dude? Because they see me. I feel like artists have circles, right? People that are professional in the industry that they're probably more open to having a conversation with are in this circle, are in a circle, right? Then the outer ring is like people who are in the industry that are kind of either clout chasers or wanting to get a selfie or have a hidden agenda. You know that they're there, right? And you work with them, you play nice with them, you do the interviews, but you know that they are not part of the other circle of professionals, right? That are in the industry, right? Yes, they're there, but they're kind of like one layer out, right? And then, you know, outside of that, in terms of like accessibility to the artist, right? You know, outside of that is, you know, is the fan base, right? And people who may not really have access to them, you know, and in some cases for good reason, because they want to fuck him up, right? Or whatever, right? Like, You never know. It could be a crazy, right? There are crazy people out there, right? So I think that, you know, it is more important for me to be inside like that smaller circle of trust. You know, and there's even one smaller than that, obviously, that is their loved ones and family, right? Like, so there's, you know, there's layers of access to these people. And I think that, you know, the minute you pull out your phone, like, hey, let's take a selfie, like, then, you know, you're kind of pushed out of that circle, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And like I said, I've had some opportunities where I've been close enough to certain people that are where I would say definitely will want to take a picture, and I
You won't?
haven't. No, I won't. Just because, like, I want, like I said, I want them to trust me. So when they come here, I want them to know, like, I'm not here to put you out like a getcha thing. Like, I'm not here for that highlight or like headlines. I want my stuff to grow into my attention, but I don't want it because I made you stumble on something.
And no, and that's not it. But I think it is important to not be afraid to talk about things that are that might offend someone, and it's all in how like you deliver it, right? And how you act. And if it comes from your heart and from a good place, I think that 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to execute it okay, and they'll give you some great content, right? Like, I've interviewed Chris Perez and Joe Ojeda, both played for Los Dinos, and I had very candid conversations about what that was like with playing with Selena, right? Like, what the struggle was like. Do they ever get tired of being associated with her, right? Like, do you ever wish, like, like I want to do my own thing, like I don't want to be associated with her anymore, right? Like I'm me, like this happened a long time ago. And I think those are questions that our audience might find interesting and could potentially offend somebody, right? But you have to, and you have to earn their respect, I guess, so to speak. And taking a selfie with them before the interview is not a great way to earn their respect, right? Like,
no, for sure.
So, I'm trying to remember what the one that I asked George Lopez about. He was talking about, I don't know, something about having man boobs, right? And I think I asked him if and I didn't know how this was going to go over, right? Because, I think most men might be a little sensitive about man boobs, right? And I asked him if he played with them, right? And I could tell that he was shocked, but entertained that, I asked him that question, right? And, and he like had a genuine laugh out loud moment, right? And so, that could have been offensive, right?
Yeah.
But I think, we had established the respect. He knew that I wasn't being malicious about it or trying to make fun about it. Like, we were just like having fun, right? And so it went over okay. And that it's not always successful. Like, I have also said things that I wish I would have never said, right? I'm like, fuck, that was stupid, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know, yeah. I've been there for sure. But I think like that's what I was saying is like, I will ask whatever I think will be best to ask, but I want to make sure that you guys, when you guys come here, that it's not like you're here for me to catch you on something. Like, if you want to discuss it, we'll talk about it and then we'll go with that. But I think also, like, I've been a fan of things. Like right now, like I said, I'm a fan of yours, even though I would say, like, we've connected on a different level because we've had a back and forth. I think I'm a fan of yours because of what you do. And then, so I was a little nervous to begin with. So I don't get nervous a lot to talk to somebody. It's been a few times.
Listen to the radio station then, bro. Don't be gacho.
Hey, I'll tell you this. When I went to go buy this bottle, my truck is still sitting on 104.5.
All right.
I try to do my research, and every once in a while I become a fan of things. And 104.5. I don't listen to all those to all the hits, but I'll listen to some of them.
So what is do you like country more, Tejano more? What's your?
I'm definitely country, but a lot of the, I stopped. I'll say this. I stopped listening to KJ because I can't stand some of the country music they play. I don't.
Gacho, Alex, did you hear that, bro?
Sorry, guys, but this pop country stuff, like, I'm not a fan of it, and then maybe it ages me in a certain way, but
So do you like? We also have the Bull. Do you like the classic country, like old, like I don't know, like Willie Nelson, like Buck Owens, like old Ronnie Millsap? Like,
I'll listen to it because that's what my dad used to listen to. But I grew up on the edge of the age of George Strait, Garth Brooks, with a lot of people would say no, and then Tim McGraw.
I'm not a big fan of Garth Brooks, dude.
Yeah, I found that a lot of people are not, and it's very interesting.
It's like I mean, I think I listened to like his stuff when it came out because other people were listening to it, right? And we were in Texas, right? But yeah, dude, I'm Team George for sure.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, 100%. But I'm guilty to listen to some pop country, like or even different. Like I'll listen to. My favorite is Kenny Chesney, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh man, that's not country at all." But I like him.
So do you like Bad Bunny? Do you can't stand Bad Bunny? Do you like be honest, bro?
I'll listen. I'll be honest. If you play a song by Bad Bunny, I probably won't know that it's Bad Bunny. But I'll be like, okay, this is cool. Like it just
we have to have like a kickback where we listen to music, bro. Like music sessions kickback. Because I love turning people on to music, right? And I think Bad Bunny is an amazing artist for so many reasons. But yeah, I'm just curious. Like, so I have like a cousin that hits me up. He's probably, I don't know, 40s, and he's like, "Man, don't play Bad Bunny. Play Los Desperados, vato." But he's like, he's like hardcore Tejano, like, He loves some of our music, right? He's coming around and starting to like Bad Bunny more. But I think that our, reggaeton now is, and I don't even want to call it reggaeton because I think it's evolved, right? It's now like this like Spanish pop kind of urban sound that has, I think, redefined what it means to be American, right? Like this. Bad Bunny is the most streamed artist on the planet, right? And his songs are in Spanish, people. So I think that says a lot about where our Latino culture is right now. And I feel that all too often, we, including myself, like don't know our worth. You know what I mean? To the world, to society, to the workplace, right? To our jobs, right? Like, even like in marketing, right? Like, being Hispanic. Look, the biggest advertising agencies in the world have targeting Hispanics on their radar. Right? They either have a division or a team of people who are trying to figure out ways to get the attention, your attention and my attention and our money, right? Like they want us to spend our money with them, and our purchasing power is vast and influential, right? And I think the sooner, look at me going off on a political tangent, but I think the sooner we realize, we all collectively realize, our power and influence, like I think the faster we'll get to representation, right? Like I shared a story on LinkedIn the other day of J-Lo committing to this nonprofit that's going to allocate $16 billion for Latina entrepreneurs that are that don't have the resources, right, to run or launch their businesses, right? And I think, the fact that they don't have the resources and are not given the loans because they're low income and Hispanic, right? Like those challenges that they face are real challenges, right? But I don't think that they would be as great had we all been on the same page with knowing our worth, right? And our contribution to, to commerce and society, right?
But let me ask you this. Did Jennifer Lopez want more minutes at the halftime show than Shakira or not?
That's funny. I talked about that on my show, actually. She said that doing that halftime show was a bad decision. Oh. She said, J-Lo, she said it was probably the worst career decision that she ever made.
Wow.
And she said,
I was just being an asshole.
No, but it's true. Like that's what she said, bro. And she said it was because they both have so many hits, right? and they only had 6 minutes. And she's like, I had to split that with Shakira. She's like, so finding like, what am I going to do for 3 minutes? And then they had J Balvin and Bad Bunny on stage with them, right? So she's like, it was torture to try to figure out what she could do in 3 minutes. And she said it was really stressful. I think they did a great job. I thought the halftime show was great.
I thought it was amazing. And I was just being a punk and I was making a joke. I didn't think it was a real thing.
No, it was a thing. Like there was I don't know, the article on it last week, I think, about how there's a Netflix docuseries out where she openly talks about like that, being like the worst decision that she ever made was committing to that because it was so challenging to do it. But yeah.
But here's the other thing. I kind of like once I said that joke, I kind of felt like a little bit of a hypocrite on things I've said before, where J-Lo doing a great thing for entrepreneurs and of our culture, Latinos and I don't know, Chicanos, Mexicans, Hispanics. But I said that joke to cut the seriousness of the conversation. But then it got worse because then it made me feel like a hypocrite because then it's like, oh, somebody's doing good for us, and here I go pulling them down.
Typical fucking Latino, bro. Can't do anything, bro.
Just pulling this. I was like, and I always hated that. Like growing up, even from like Chiquillo, man, I felt like that. I've noticed it because for some reason I felt like or at least my mom would always tell me, you can do whatever and whatever. Yeah. Like she like, in this world, it's yours. You do whatever, And I think I was blessed with parents that gave me the opportunity that truly made me feel I can do whatever and whatever. And yeah. And so I've always felt like there's a lot meant for me and I need to figure out how and what. But it's not trying to make it about me. But every time I express that, it's like, who the fuck you think you are? ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué te crees? And it's like that point is like, so from little, I learned that like, there's always pulling. Why can't we bring ourselves up, man? Like
they got to keep us grounded. So my brother, by the way, for example, like I lost this weight, right? And my mom the other day, this is like 2 nights ago, she sees, I still have a little bit of a belly, right? And she's like, you still got to get rid of your belly. Like you still have a little bit of, I'm like, chingao, I just lost 50 pounds. Chingao. Like, give me a fucking break, right? I think she felt bad after that because I called it. And then my brother was like, hey, bro, like your face like looks thinner. He's like, but you got to get rid of it. You got the little skin under your neck now because your face is skinnier. I'm like, ching. Can somebody say, hey, great job, bro, you lost fucking 50 pounds? No, we can't do that, bro. It's in our nature. It's like fucking, I almost think it's like cariño, dude. It's cariño to talk shit.
I agree.
That's doing something that's great. Hang on. It's 104 days of summer in San Antonio. Bad Bunny edition. Your chance to win tickets to see Bad Bunny all summer long. Hoy por la noche, Doc Brown's. We'll be there starting at 10 o'clock. You could win Bad Bunny tickets with Bad Bunny Friday nights at Doc Brown's.
Going back to the whole thing, like it's a. I think it's a double-edged sword. Now that I'm thinking about it, like the way you place it, yeah, it keeps us grounded, not so big-headed, but at the same time, some of it can cut us and
for sure
hold us down for sure. And we need to figure out how we can have both while still bringing each other up.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to fix it here, but at least it's a good way to figure it out at some point.
You spoke it out into the universe, so that's a good start.
That's a good start. So without keeping you too much longer, because I hate editing 2-hour long episodes. So I would love to have you back on.
Sure, man. Sure.
And like you said, maybe like a little music session. That would be awesome because I need to be introduced into new music.
That gets you into the too hard, too fast at the gym, right?
Yeah, that goes, too hard, too fast. And then
that's a good name for a gym too, dude. Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast. It was a drinking story. So my co-host that he used to go too hard too fast. So he would show up to parties and feel the need to catch up to go too hard too fast. And we were just a conversation. Hey, I need to. I need. He's like, why do I get so drunk? I was like, dude, well, it's because you go too hard too fast. Like you need to pace it off.
I think we all know somebody like that. By the way.
For sure. Hey, so speaking of too hard too fast, the last and final question I'm going to ask you is: do you have a too hard too fast story? Maybe a story that where you got too drunk to function. Maybe something embarrassing that happened on the radio. Words of wisdom or cautionary tales. Anything you feel comfortable sharing with us.
Well, I'll share anything. I'm trying to find a good one because I've had many too hard, too fast moments. But I have to say, I'll give you two.
Perfect. 2 is our favorite number here at Too Hard Too Fast.
The first one, I was still in high school and partying in Nuevo Laredo, driving home to Laredo, Texas. And I went too hard, too fast, and I hit one of those cement like dividers before I crossed into the US. So I was driving my mom's car, dude, and like the bumper was dragging, dude. The car was all fucked up, right? And I pull up to customs, dude. And the guy's like, are you doing okay? Like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I fucking hit a thing back there. Like, I just live right here. Like, and he's like, all right. He's like, oh, be careful. And he let me through, dude, right? Like, told my dad, I walked to their bedroom and I'm like, hey, I wrecked the car last night. But I drove home. I'm fine, whatever. So my dad thought, and then it wasn't that bad, right? And no, but I dude, like at 8 a.m, 8:30, dude, I hear my dad yelling my name. How far did you do? I was like, shit. So I went too hard, too fast that night and totaled my mom's car. The other one was probably I was on the air drinking, which I'm trying to remember what the occasion was. I think it was Cinco de Mayo, maybe. I don't remember. But we were drinking mimosas in the studio. And we're all saucy, having a good time. And I spilled, I don't know if you see these little grooves there, but I spilled the mimosa in one of those grooves, right? And I shit you not, like a little mushroom cloud of smoke like came up, like and like those things cost like $400,000, dude. Like they're not cheap, bro. Like somebody does that, like you're gonna get fired. This was in LA, it wasn't here. And I thankfully didn't get fired. I was honest with the engineer, and we all got a slap on the wrist, and they sent it off to get repaired. But yeah, that was those are my two of my two. I have many of them, dude, but those are just two of them.
Well, hopefully we hear more, because like I said, I want to have you back on. Those are good too hard too fast stories, some cautionary tales mixed into it.
Don't drink around electronics. And
don't total your mom's car.
Don't total your mom's car.
All right, man, dude, I've had a great time, man.
You too, bro.
I'm glad I got to meet you. I hope we keep in touch. Like I said, we will keep in touch. There's no doubt about it.
Congrats on the podcast, dude. I think you're fucking. It's great. I think you're doing a great job. So
thank you. I appreciate that, and huge compliment for real. And then we'll end it right here. Remember, dare to be you, dare to be weird. Oh, before I do all that, where can people obviously listen to 104.5 if you're in San Antonio? Yeah. But where can people follow you?
Dude, I'm usually slanging crypto cocaine at the Culebra parking lot on Commercial and South Cross, by the way. Crypto cocaine, bro. You can't see it. You can't feel it. You can't touch it, but it's in a baggie. and it will fuck you up, bro. Once you go crypto cocaine, you don't go back. So I'm selling crypto perico, dude, out of the Culebra parking lot. That's what I'm doing, dude. Real talk. No, I always thought, man, I should, like, people who are investing in crypto. I was one of them, right? And I thought, man, you know, this is basically like investing money in imaginary money, right? Like, you can't see it. Like, yeah, it's there in an app. What the fuck does that really mean, right?
Right.
I'm like, I should fucking sell crypto cocaine, man. Fucking crypto weed or something, right? And be like, it's not illegal, bro. There's nothing in the bag, right? Just take a big whiff and you got it. Just blow into a bag and have it puffy and be like, here's your crypto cocaine. Anyway, no, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Tito C. Caballero is my last name, so at I am TITOC. It's the same on Twitter. It's the same on, I think it's the same on TikTok. I don't do much on TikTok yet, but I have some ideas. I just got to start them. Tito en Vivo on Facebook, and then my American Vida podcast. Don't edit that out, dude. Let me fucking say.
Sober George, competitors.
Check out my American Vida podcast. It is a meeting place and a platform for the Latinx community and people who are seeking a bicultural identity. So,
for sure, man. For sure. American Vida podcast.
Yeah.
104.5 Latino Hits. Tito Caballero, thank you very much for being on.
Yes, sir.
Get your crypto cocaine. On the next one, we'll be doing it with you guys. Like that. Remember, dare be you, dare be weird. Bye.
Peace.